Sometimes the government introduces policies because they genuinely believe that they're going to improve a country.
NTSA is planning to set up government inspection centers in about 6 months and another 12 months for private inspection centers.
Other times, a policy looks so perfectly designed to collect money that people stop asking, is this really about safety, and start asking, who is really getting paid?
Wewe unapigwa fine ati umeoverspeed hapa Keno. Alafu ukilipa pesa zinaenda to an individual account.
That is exactly what happened with the new NTSA mandatory vehicle inspection rules.
Yes, you need to get an inspection from 1st of July.
On paper, it sounded innocent. Annual inspections, road safety, reducing the accidents, saving lives. I mean, who can oppose safer roads? But the deeper Kenyans looked into this, the less this looked like a road safety program and looked more like a money collection machine.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua recently came out and slammed the whole NTSA plan.
Ako pale NTSA ameleta kampuni yake na mtoto wake ambaye ndiye atakuwa naokota pesa.
And within days, the public backlash became so massive that NTSA was actually forced to retreat.
Ruto's grand idea of milking us dry through his mandatory vehicle inspection has fallen in the High Court. Just have a look at this infographic by Standard Media, and I quote, "Lawyer Charles Mugane moves to High Court to stop NTSA's new vehicle inspection rules, cites lack of public participation and unconstitutional fees." And guess what? Lawyer Charles Mugane won.
But I don't think enough people actually understand why they really backed down. Because this story is not just about vehicle inspections. This story is about something much, much bigger.
If you love this kind of content, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. Now let's get to the video.
Now is the time for us to do civil disobedience, because Jimmy Wanjigi has said it before that we need to stop feeding this monster called corruption. We need to stop feeding this monster called bad governance. And one of the ways of doing civil action against this government, it's not just maandamano. We can do civil disobedience where we kabisa tunakataa kuwapatia pesa zetu.
Let us begin with what NTSA actually wanted. Under the proposed new rules, most private vehicles older than 4 years would actually require an annual inspection every year, every single year. And these inspections weren't actually free. Depending on the vehicle, motorists would actually be expected to pay anywhere between 2,000 Kenya shillings to 4,000 Kenya shillings or even more.
Mamlaka hiyo imetangaza kuwa zoezi hilo litaendeshwa katika vituo vya NTSA pekee na kuagiza wamiliki wa magari waanze kujiandikisha kupitia kwa jukwaa la kidijitali la eCitizen.
Now, stop there, because individually, 3,000 Kenya shillings doesn't actually sound like much. And that is exactly how government actually hide very expensive policies. They never charge one person 1 billion Kenya shillings. Nah. They charge millions of people a few thousand each. And suddenly, you built a machine capable of collecting billions of Kenya shillings annually.
NTSA Director General Nashon Kondiwa said they intend to have 47 inspection centers by December this year.
That is why opposition leaders immediately estimated that this program would actually collect more than 10 billion Kenya shillings every year.
Ako pale NTSA ameleta kampuni yake na mtoto wake ambaye ndiye atakuwa naokota pesa. Amesema ati magari yote ya mwaka 4 atipelekwe inspection, kila mtu alipe 20,000. Hiyo ni zaidi ya shilingi bilioni 10 ambaye William Ruto anataka ya kufanya siasa.
Now, I want you to think about that. 10 billion Kenya shillings every single year. That is even before penalties, late fees, re-inspections, or fines for motorists who would actually fail to comply. At that point, people stopped seeing a road safety program. They could now see a brand new tax without calling it a tax.
Mimi nataka niambie watu wetu wote Kenya nzima, mtu yeyote asikubali kupeleka gari yake inspection na kutoa pesa kwa William Ruto.
Now, normally governments can survive criticism, especially over taxes. But this time, something happened that made the issue completely different. People started asking questions. Who is operating this system? Who is receiving the inspection fees? Who owns the companies? Who benefits? And suddenly, the discussion shifted away from road safety and towards procurement. towards the tenders, towards private companies, towards conflicts of interest.
You look at the people in Mpesa Print, you realize that they are not very far away from William Ruto's businesses. There is a guy here who is called Charles Alusala. Charles Alusala is listed as the contact person for Farid Ruto family multiple business companies. So a person who is a contact person for William Ruto's companies is also an owner with Farid Abdul Razak's company that was registered just a few months after the feasibility study by NTSA was done on 45 billion tender.
That is when opposition politicians began making explosive allegations. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua claimed that the inspection program would actually benefit companies allegedly linked to the first family.
Ako pale NTSA ameleta kampuni yake na mtoto wake ambaye ndiye itakuwa naokota pesa.
Soon afterwards, online discussions expanded those allegations even further, mentioning First Lady Rachel Ruto alongside broader claims surrounding previous NTSA-related projects and digital payment systems. Once the names of powerful families enter a financial discussions, especially in this country, public trust immediately disappears. And that is exactly what happened in this issue.
The inspection is in my own safety, isn't it? At the moment, they again tell us now pay. We are paying everything. We are paying for everything. Very soon we are going to be asked to pay even for the auction we take. I keep on wondering who advises these fellas.
Now, this wasn't just politicians complaining. Ordinary Kenyans exploded too. People asked simple questions. If road safety was actually the goal, why introduce this in one of the hardest economic periods ever?
Serikali inafai understand one thing. We are all not doing well, and we are all in a survival mode. So we shall not accept any other further theft.
Why force millions of motorists to pay new fees? Why expand inspections when NTSA itself admits that it does not have enough inspection capacity?
Yes, you need to get an inspection from 1st of July, but the enforcement is deferred until a readiness assessment is done.
Who decided this? Was even the public consulted? Lawyers went to court. Civil society organizations filed petitions. The Law Society of Kenya challenged these regulations. Motorists flooded social media. Even leaders who rarely agree on anything were actually finding themselves on the same side criticizing this policy. The pressure became impossible to ignore, and something remarkable actually happened. The government blinked.
Ikutukeleta nomo jamaa wakajangori wakasema ikuenda ni gani gava kwani indakaanze kutafuta dona na sisi wasa wakajaa mikabakinaje kwa jamaa mpeleka hiyo kesi wapi hiyo kesi kotiko. So Kiambu High Court wametoa wakasema ni aje wamesuspend hiyo mambo ya inspection ya private owned vehicle.
After days of backlash, NTSA suddenly changed the tone.
Inspections begins almost immediately. From tomorrow, if you want to bring your vehicle for inspection, you can bring it to NTSA inspection centers, which are existing.
Only 17?
Yes, they are existing. But the enforcement, the mandatory requirement, is what we will postpone until we have enough inspection centers.
I want you to think about that and what it actually means. Because if this policy was absolutely necessary for road safety, why pause it? Road accidents didn't disappear overnight, and safe vehicles didn't suddenly become safer. So why retreat? The answer to that question is actually very, very simple. Because the public pressure actually worked. The cost of enforcing this policy had become more politically higher than the money they aimed to collect through that policy.
Was NTSA testing the waters? As in...
So Kenyans celebrated, and understandably so, because nobody wanted another mandatory bill annually. But this story isn't finished, because the legal framework still exists. The regulations haven't disappeared. Implementation was simply slowed down, which means this debate can return at any time. And perhaps, most importantly, the question that everyone should focus on, the bigger question, which remains still unanswered, who would eventually run these inspection centers? How would procurement happen? Who owns the companies involved? And where would those billions go to? Because until those questions are answered and answered transparently, the suspicions will remain. Because trust, once broken, it is incredibly difficult to rebuild.
The government is digitizing everything and requiring all payments made through e-citizen. I mean, school fees, students in university, while buying food at the mess, have to make that payment through e-citizen. Why aren't you using that as a portal of payment?
The reason why we are not using that is because of the fraud that we are talking about. You see, when it is Mpesa, confusing somebody is very, so we are just having a second layer before people know exactly. You see the way.
No, hang on. Let me understand. You're not using e-citizen because of fear of fraud?
My friend, we are telling you for free. This is your country. This is the future of your children. Hakuna taifa ingine. But these people are rooting this country dry.
Now, if this story is supposed to teach us anything, is that transparency actually matters more than we actually think. If Kenyans had confidence that every shilling coming from this would actually go to improving road safety, perhaps this debate would look very different. But when the government introduces expensive programs without convincing the public that the money is going to be used fairly, people will naturally begin asking questions like, who benefits? Whether those suspicions ultimately are proven to be true or not, the government created the environment for there to be questions. Okay? And that is why many people now are still calling for an independent investigation. The body that investigates corruption, NTSA, needs to investigate all the names that were mentioned in this scandal, saga, or whatever you want to call it. We want investigations and a clear report on the findings.
Ako pale NTSA ameleta kampuni yake na mtoto wake ambaye ndiye itakuwa naokota pesa.
One thing is for sure, this 10 billion scandal, saga, whatever you want to call it, has just been paused. But whether it stays paused is something we're not sure about. It may return in another form, kimya kimya.
Corruption imeongezeka. A whole prominent lawyer called Donald B. Kipkorir exposed something today. His own brother gets a text message claiming that he was speeding. He is fined 10,000 shillings. He follows the government's provided link to pay the fine.
And once the brother alilipa hiyo loan, hiyo fine ya 10,000 ilienda kwa a personal account. And also, I remember Nancy, the Auditor General, alisema last year that pesa zinakuwa withdrawn from e-citizen, zinakuwa diverted into personal accounts.
Tell me, do you think that this was genuinely about road safety, or was it always about the money? Was someone about to eat our money in billions? Tell me in the comment sections, and do not forget to subscribe